The future that you will genuinely own nothing and you will be happy was at first seen as a joke. There's no way that companies could implement something where you actually have little to no access to the content that you buy, can they? But with how the industry has been going, this is no longer something that can really be overlooked, and instead, it's now becoming a reality. Not only will you own nothing, but now you're gonna pay through the nose for it too. Let's start with Activision Blizzard, the company that looks at its players less like people and more like living flesh wallets. Activision Blizzard is easily one of the greediest gaming companies that has ever existed. And after being bought by Microsoft, this hasn't changed anything, but in fact, made them even worse. These guys have been fleecing players for years, and their predatory practices are so blatant, yet unfortunately, they also keep getting rewarded because they're dangling the video game version of crack over their customers. That crack, by the way, is Call of Duty, of course. I wouldn't be surprised if they inevitably add microtransactions that cost more than your rent or car insurance to their games eventually. Their most recent mega release was, of course, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, which has already proven how much of a masterclass in squeezing players dry Activision really has become. Before, you would drop $70, but soon, that's gonna be $80. We'll get to that, don't worry. But even if you want a cool skin for your gun, that's also gonna set you back at least $20 these days, and a premium battle pass, that's another $10. And don't forget about those ultra premium battle passes that are like $30 now, because apparently there's a VIP section in Warzone. And the goal of games like Call of Duty is not just to drain your wallet dry, it's to become the only game that you can reasonably afford to play because you're sinking so much into it already. I'm halfway convinced the reason why every Call of Duty game's download size keeps getting bigger is on purpose now. Activision just inflates their download sizes so you will only have enough space for them alone on your console. I previously reported in another video how players were livid when Activision snuck ads into Black Ops 6's loadout menus. They called it a feature test that went live by accident once they got called out by the entire fanbase for being predatory, and then they apologized. Anyway, here's two examples, as you can see, where players complained how Activision Blizzard was pushing those loadout bundles in the loadout screen based on the guns that you're using to purposely coax you into buying it by taunting you 24/7 every single time you were playing that game. We'll come back to Call of Duty in a second, but then there's even the Guitar Hero mobile game announcement. Activision teased a new Guitar Hero, and fans were losing their minds because the idea of having another new Guitar Hero on the go is actually really cool in concept. And obviously, a touchscreen on your phone makes sense for a game like this. There was tangible hype until fans realized it's a mobile game with, and I'm not kidding, AI generated visuals as you're seeing on screen here. Yeah, they actually used AI to create an official poster for Guitar Hero Mobile, and again they refused to pay artists, which is kind of crazy, but sadly not really surprising given who we're talking about here. I wouldn't even be surprised if the songs in the game are just re-recorded with like off-brand singers and AI instruments too, just so that they don't have to pay the real artists the full fees for the songs. At this point, nothing would surprise me with Activision Blizzard and their scummy tactics. Commenters on their Instagram page obviously spotted the AI art, cause they have eyeballs of course, and called out the wonky misshapen hands and the guitars that look like they were melting as the characters were playing them as you're seeing on screen. It just confirmed what we sadly knew already, that this wasn't really a game. It's just another soulless slop simulator that is being made to force your wallet open so you keep paying them to relive nostalgia and better days. That's not even the end of Activision admitting to using generative AI, since they also used it for Black Ops 6's visuals as well as other games too. And that kind of explains why some of the textures and even the calling cards look suspiciously not made by human artists. They're cutting corners on literally everything that they can, from human artists to designers, while charging you still premium prices either way. It's like paying $100 for a promised top-of-the-line burger at some restaurant and then finding out that the patty was 3D printed and there's nobody working in the kitchen. Now let's talk about Call of Duty Black Ops 7 and the whole you will own nothing bit, because it's happening for real this time. So the Xbox showcase happened, and Microsoft ended their event with a look to a sequel to a game that just came out. It was actually insane that that's what they ended their presentation with, and I audibly groaned when I saw it live. But Black Ops 7 is the game that's less a sequel and more a middle finger to players than really anything else. It's set in 2035 and promises mind-bending visuals and the return of David Mason. Oh wow. Sounds cool at first, sure, but this game is also a symptom of everything that is honestly wrong with modern gaming pretty much. First, you have the price. Black Ops 7 is expected to cost $80 digitally, following the trend set by The Outer Worlds 2, which has also confirmed it too will be adopting this new price point thanks to Nintendo. $80 frickin' dollars, fellas, for a game that'll probably ship with half the content locked behind a paywall too, mind you, cause remember that Black Ops 6, which is half a year old as of this video going live, Black Ops 7 is shaping up to be more of the same. But now, it's even pricier, and if the base game is more expensive, I fully expect other things like battle passes and more too to also cost more because why not, right? Let's just burn all the goodwill while we're at it. Why not? Activision's obviously been cagey about whether Black Ops 7 will hit Nintendo Switch 2 despite Microsoft's 10-year-old deal to bring Call of Duty to Nintendo platforms. Sources say that they're committed to a Switch 2 version, but it's not confirmed for launch, as you can see from this article on screen. They want to bring it to Switch 2, of course they want more money, but can't right now. Why? It's simple. Because Activision knows they can first milk Xbox, PlayStation, and PC players first, then maybe if they're feeling like it, they can release a half-baked version to Switch 2 later, slap that $80 USD price tag on it, and then call it a day. It's the same playbook they used with Call of Duty Ghosts on the Wii U. Remember the Wii U? Nobody remembers the Wii U, but that game ran like a PowerPoint presentation at the best of times. And don't get me started on Game Pass shenanigans. Black Ops 7 is of course a day one Game Pass release, which sounds great until you realize that Microsoft's been hiking Game Pass prices for years now. The standard tier, that jumped from $9.99 to $14.99 a month in 2024. That's a 50% increase, dude. And with Black Ops 7's Xbox Play Anywhere feature, they're pushing you to buy into their ecosystem above anything else. Because it's not about giving you options, it's about locking you into a subscription that routinely keeps increasing its asking price every few months, and hoping that you don't notice by ensuring that you're too distracted by the shiny trailers to realize that they're conditioning you to the you'll own nothing and be happy mentality without even realizing it in the first place. For a good example of this, look at the Gamer.com's article here titled, "Xbox may have finally gone all digital as nobody can find physical discs for its biggest games." So, Xbox players are having an impossible time finding pre-order options for this fall's biggest releases on that platform. Games like Ninja Gaiden 4, and my computer keeps renaming that to Ninja Garden 4, and The Outer Worlds 2, by the way, do not seem to have any options to pre-order via Microsoft's Xbox platform that allows for physical retail copies to be bought. What's crazy is that games like Gears of War Reloaded, which is the remake or the remaster of the first Gears game that is officially coming to PlayStation this August, is actually getting a physical release when it comes out, but that physical release is on PlayStation and not on Xbox, if you can believe it. Same goes for Ninja Gaiden 4, The Outer Worlds 2, and much more as well. All of these games, whose studios are all owned by Microsoft, pretty much are seemingly only releasing their games physically via PlayStation, but not their own home console. That's kind of weird, isn't it? As confirmed here again by thegamer.com, Gears Reloaded skips Xbox for physical copies. So what gives? How could Microsoft be doing this and catering honestly more so to their rival platform in PlayStation over their own customers? Well, the truth is, it's actually pretty bleak. It's because Microsoft, which also owns Activision Blizzard and IPs like Call of Duty and more, has successfully forced the behaviors of owning nothing upon the Xbox fanbase for years at this point. With services like Game Pass, there's no need to sell physical media since Xbox players have become so conditioned to the concept of owning nothing. Even to a degree, you could argue that Steam is the same way for years too. You can find plenty of stories online of players losing access to certain games all over, proving that for years now, when you buy digital, especially, you're not actually buying a copy of that game, but a license pretty much to play that game instead. And because of this new normal, the players are technically now at the mercy of what these corporations deem is their way forward. So, as an Xbox user, if all you use is Game Pass, you own nothing at all. You can really only play what Microsoft gives you, like a kid being given a Happy Meal by their parents, and when games leave Game Pass, too bad. You like that game? Well, you didn't own it in the first place, so stop crying. And now you're unable to play anything else unless you pay for it, but even then, it's still digital anyway, so it still circles us all the way back to the problem at hand, which is that you genuinely will own nothing, and you should be happy. And since Microsoft has already pushed this reality on Xbox players, and Steam players have kind of already accepted this reality too, it just leaves PlayStation as the last bastion of physical media pretty much, but also not really. Because even on PlayStation, most discs are also just glorified digital codes that exist on the actual discs. Even on Nintendo Switch 2, it's the same thing. As confirmed here back in April 2025 by Polygon, some of the Nintendo Switch 2 game cartridges, they don't even have games on them anymore. Hell, the Switch 2, which is like a hybrid portable system, can't even be played in handheld form unless you authenticated via the internet as well. And if Nintendo deems that you broke some law, now your handheld is a glorified paperweight at best, and you can't play the thing at all. Effectively meaning that nothing is truly safe from this mentality of zero ownership that these companies are pushing onto every single one of us. You then combine this with the other problem, which is, of course, the increase in prices. Black Ops 7 and more are also killing games by setting this precedent. Its $80 price tags and aggressive monetizations are going to greenlight other publishers to just do the same. I mean, look at Star Wars Outlaws. That's Ubisoft charging $70 for a game that felt like a side quest that got stretched into like 30 hours. And oh, by the way, it had a $40 season pass on top of that. Or what about Assassin's Creed Shadows? Nobody remembers that game. That also spends its entire campaign just blueballing you with teases, only to end its campaign telling you literally nothing. I played the game, I would know this, and just pushing you to buy the season pass to get the real story of the game. So stuff like this, and now even Black Ops 7, are the poster children for this new wave of corporate greed. And it's just dragging the industry into this dystopian hellscape where games are going to cost as much as a car payment eventually. Okay, I'm joking. They won't cost as much as a car. I hope not anyways. But these days, any hyperbole can probably become a reality. And I really don't want prices to increase any further than they already have. But speaking of dystopian hellscapes, let's talk about The Outer Worlds 2, Microsoft's first confirmed $80 game at release. That's right, Obsidian's quirky sci-fi RPG sequel is now priced like a luxury item. Want to explore a game that says capitalism is a modern nightmare? Cool, just give in to that very same capitalism by paying Obsidian $80 digitally for Outer Worlds 2 then. Why $80? Because Microsoft saw Nintendo slap an $80 price point on Mario Kart World for Switch 2, and they thought, hey, if they can gouge their fans, why can't we? They'll gaslight you and say it's because games are more expensive to make, but it's quickly becoming obvious that this isn't really about inflation or development costs anymore. It's about testing how much they can squeeze out of us before we riot collectively as a global community. How far can the publishers push before there's real resistance from their customers? Oh, they're okay with that $80 price point? What about $85 digitally? Oh, they're still okay with that one too. Let's push it to $90, maybe $95? Screw it. Let's round it to $100 in a few years, because why not, right? Like The Outer Worlds was a $60 game back in 2019, and it was a hit because it was affordable and packed with that charm that Obsidian was known for before the activists went crazy over there, and now the sequel's price, it just feels like a betrayal, like finding out that your favorite indie band is signed with a soulless record label for the money alone, which is honestly what has happened with Obsidian. And Obsidian, which was once one of the bastions of creativity and making cool games that nobody else could, has quickly turned into the very thing that they promised that they never would. Now they make slop like Avowed and I guess Outer Worlds 2, and you can bet when Avowed comes to PlayStation eventually, they'll be charging that $80 too, hoping that somebody will be stupid enough to pay that price for it. Pretty obvious that this has all been Microsoft's, plan and it has their fingerprints all over it. Because post Activision acquisition, they've been flexing their monopoly muscles on the entire industry. As this little line from the AmericanConsumer.com says, where Microsoft promised to do better post their acquisition of Activision Blizzard, which reads, in reality, the merger would deliver a major victory to consumers who are likely to see significant benefits like expanded access, a greater selection of games, and lower prices. Well, that was a lie, wasn't it? They promised that this acquisition wouldn't lead to anti-competitor behavior, and of course, it aged like milk. But in reality, places like Microsoft are instead winning in the end either way, as PlayStationLifestyle.com said back in January 2025, as it reads here, PlayStation behind 64% of spending on Microsoft games last month. So, as it states here, as you can see, the majority of that revenue came from a single game, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, to nobody's surprise. Proving that they're not making games exclusive anymore, but now they're just making them more expensive across all platforms to form a monopoly instead. And with the Outer Worlds 2, they're normalizing $80 as the new standard prior to the other releases to come. And then by doing this, Microsoft, and by extension Activision Blizzard, are forcing those behaviors, those ideas into the brains of future players to pave the way for those future releases like Fable, Avowed, and every other Xbox title to follow suit when they come to PlayStation as well. This is predatory because it's not about value. It's about the exploitation of the user. The Outer World 2 Steam page, by the way, lists this $80 standard edition. But there's no real word on what you actually get for that price. Will it have a battle pass? Will it have microtransactions? Or I don't know. Maybe it'll have a $50 DLC that unlocks the good ending in-game. That might sound like a joke to you, but these days, anything is possible. But in Microsoft's opinion, they're just betting that we're going to pay up either way because in their eyes, what choice do we, the players, even have? And then there's Nintendo, the company that's been gaslighting us into thinking that $80 games are innovative now. And their Switch 2 launched with Mario Kart World at $80 digitally, and other Switch 2 edition titles are following suit. And Nintendo's excuse for this is that they're calling these Switch 2 games that already exist but are being resold on Switch 2 as enhanced experiences. As seen here with Metroid, Nintendo was selling these games with enhanced being a part of their selling pitch. So now, not only do your Switch 2 cartridges not really have the games on them anyway, but they can sell older games back to you like Zelda for full price again as long as they put enhanced somewhere in its description box. When in actuality, the only enhancement is the hole in your wallet from buying the same games for premium price points again, and this time, you definitely don't even own the game either. I mean, Nintendo's price hikes are ruining everything because they're the trendsetters in this situation. Now with Nintendo raising their prices to $80 or $90 themselves, it's very obvious that everyone else is just gonna follow their example. Now with $80 games that you don't even own, they're giving Activision, Microsoft, and even Sony a free pass to jack up prices too. It's like Nintendo's that cool kid in school who started wearing $200 sneakers and now everyone's just trying to copy them. Nintendo's not just raising prices, they're normalizing predatory monetization in a family-friendly package. Remember Pokemon Scarlet and Violet? Those games launched at $60 with performance issues so bad they look like a PS2 game running on a toaster. Now, imagine that same game, but for $80 it can run better. Why? Because it's now enhanced. And the Switch 2's hardware isn't even really a huge leap. It's on par with like a PlayStation 4. Yet Nintendo's charging PS5 prices for their games either way. This isn't innovation, it's exploitation. Let's just say it how it is. Because they know that the fans will pay because it's Nintendo, the same way people buy overpriced Apple products. Or how players buy every new Call of Duty hoping this one will be different, but at what point do we just say that enough is enough? So let's tie this all together with Microsoft, the puppet masters pulling Activision strings. Their $69 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard was supposed to benefit gamers, as I showed earlier. Instead, it's led to layoffs and price hikes and more aggressive monetization than really ever before. Microsoft promised that Call of Duty would stay multi-platform, but they didn't promise that it wouldn't cost an arm and a leg to keep it that way. Like, even go look at what they did with Halo Infinite. It launched with free-to-play multiplayer, but then it had a $60 campaign and microtransactions that were so bad, Microsoft should have just called it Halo Infinite Greed instead, or how so many games these days now put in DLC for you to buy that would have unlocked for free in older games back in the day. So Microsoft's strategy is clear. They acquire studios, they cut the costs, and then they milk players with subscriptions and overpriced games, and it's working. Oh yeah, don't forget cloud gaming. That's Microsoft's pushing, they're also pushing Black Ops 7 on Xbox cloud gaming as well. But of course, you need Game Pass Ultimate, which is $16.99 a month. Want to play on your phone? Well, you better have a NASA-level internet connection, otherwise you're probably screwed. So they're not really making gaming accessible, they're making the hobby into a luxury, and nobody seems to care, and that's kind of crazy to me. What's even more insane is if Game Pass doesn't work out in the end, Microsoft can just pull the plug, and all those players with their Xbox profiles are now just SOL. Because you really can't cry about Microsoft pulling games from you when you never owned any of them to begin with. Ultimately, Activision Blizzard's predatory practices, Black Ops 7's $80 price tag, The Outer Worlds 2 wallet assault, and Nintendo's price hikes that are killing the soul of gaming, and people just need to realize this. Microsoft is also enabling it all, and they're laughing as they count their billions, but we're not helpless. Firstly, I implore people to vote with their wallets. Don't pre-order Black Ops 7. Wait for reviews. If it's a cash grab, which it probably is, it's Call of Duty, let's be real, skip it, or wait till it's cheaper, something. Second, support some indie games. Games like Hollow Knight and Stardew Valley that cost like $15. And they deliver more heart than any of these AAA titles. Play some cheaper games. Play your backlogs. I know 100% every single person watching this right now, you all have like 50 games in your backlogs, don't you? You know who you are. Go play those. Why aren't you playing them? Why do you want to play Black Ops 7 so bad? It's $80 digitally. Go play the games you already own, goddammit. You have so many games that you could go beat right now. Just do it. You know you do. You know that game you stopped playing halfway through? Go play that game. What are you doing? You don't need to buy every new game like that comes out. God's sakes, dude. I'm losing my mind here. But anyway, you don't need every new game that comes out. And thirdly, speak out. Tweet, comment, even make videos. Let these companies know that we're not their personal piggy banks and make your voices heard. I mean, it worked with Borderlands 4 recently, and it can work again. So question these companies on social media. Comment on their posts asking why they're doing this. Don't just blindly buy into things because they got the next new hot celebrity on the cover of their game, hoping that the FOMO is bad enough that you'll just cave in like you always do. Ultimately, gaming is at a crossroads right now. Nintendo fans have already shown that they're fine with this price hike, which that sucks, but the rest of us don't have to be. Video games should not be this luxury hobby that only people who make like $100,000 or more should be able to play at regular intervals. This forced price gouging is going to just make this industry's worst habits just skyrocket into the stratosphere. And I do hope that this video helped you understand that, but what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Don't buy Black Ops 7 at release. I'm begging you. Just go play your backlog for God's sakes. Okay, I'm tired. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.